This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Creations Entertainment Network.
I'm Jason Clouse. Over the course of my life, I've done a lot of different things, and I've worn a lot of different hats. But this may be my greatest endeavor yet. On this show, we are going to focus on life. We are going to focus on the basic fundamentals. We are going to focus on the silver light. Because no matter what happens, no matter what is thrown our way, there is a silver light. There is a lesson to be learned. Sometimes we just have to look a little bit harder, a little bit deeper for it. That's what this show is all about. Sometimes it's going to be rough, sometimes it's going to be raw, sometimes it may be hard to listen to. But it's something that you need to hear. This just got real.
And now Pure Creations Entertainment Network presents its flagship show, the Clouse the Heart Podcast. Here is your host, Jason Clouse.
And welcome to the flagship show of the PFC Entertainment Network. You're listening to the Clouse to the Heart podcast. I'm Jason Clouse. Certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. This isn't going to be an entirely long episode because there's one thing I kind of want to focus on. And it's going to kind of center around a word in our vocabulary that can make or break us as individuals, our dreams, our goals, our ability to pursue the aforementioned. We sit here in a day and age where we want, most of us anyway, I guess I should say, like we want the best version of ourselves. We want to achieve goals. We want to accomplish dreams because this is a sense of fulfillment, a sense of having control of our lives, a sense of being happy. I've talked to a lot of people over the course of my time, doing the wrestling thing, doing the podcast thing, in real life. And there's one word that pops up just about every single time. And as soon as I hear it in the context in which it's used, like, man, it triggers something in me if I'm being honest. That word is can't. Cannot. Can't. I can't do this. Can't do that. To which my question, my follow-up question is always, why? By that approach, you've already beaten yourself. You're not even giving yourself a chance to step up to the plate. What are we doing? What are you doing? Why is there so much stock in the word can't? Why do you put so much of the definitive nature on that word? What is it? Why? Why? Many, many years ago, during a conversation with my uncle, he said something to me that, and I don't even know if he meant for it to register the way that it did, but man, did it ever. And it has stuck with me throughout the course of my life since the day that I heard it. And it's something that I incorporate into anything that I'm doing, everything I'm trying to accomplish, every goal I'm embarking on. Can't means either you won't or you don't know how. And if you don't know how, chances are pretty good that there's some sort of tool, some sort of resource out there that can teach you. We get into a mindset. Our mindsets are, and you've heard me talk about this at great length on the show, our mindset is ultimately what's going to determine our level of success in anything that we do. And if you have it in your mind that you can't do something, you're already putting yourself 3 steps behind. And for a lot of you, for a lot of us, those are insurmountable odds because we've allowed that. We've allowed that to be the thing that we focus on first and foremost, no matter how bad we want something, no matter how much that goal means to us. Outside influences generally are the reason why the word can't is so prominent in your mindset. Because somebody that you like, love, respect, something along these lines, have told you or made you feel like you can't. I do not, and I will not subscribe to that. It's either I won't or I don't know how. Now, if I don't know how and I'm embarking on trying to learn, that's when you have to make a determination as to how much you're going to put into it. Because look, let's be honest. There are things in this world that we just physically cannot do. Despite our best efforts, despite everything that we put into it, there are some things that are just unobtainable. But it doesn't mean you have to completely abandon your goal or abandon your dream. You may have to shift a little bit. You may have to mold it so it is something that can be done within your wheelhouse. I hear can't, and I hear I've already given up. It's not worth it to me to even try because I just can't. It's things like that that is going to determine where you're going to go with your life. It's things like that that's going to determine what level of happiness you're ultimately going to achieve, if at all. You guys got to think about this in the big picture here. You've got to break it down. And instead of focusing on that internal sting that happens when we are told we can't do something, why can't you do it? Sometimes we overcomplicate things so much. We get a scenario playing in our head that we are our own worst enemies. And a lot of that comes from fear, from uncertainty, especially if you're embarking on something that is completely out of your comfort zone. But if it's something that means something to you and it is a constant thought, it is a constant drive, there's something within you that tells you this is worth exploring. And you owe it to yourself to give you the best opportunity right out of the gate to make this a reality, or at least to start taking steps forward. Yes, we could sit here and put a lot of stock into the outside influences that have instilled that seed of doubt that stems from the root of I can't. Yes, the fuck you can. Yes, you can. And generally when it's people who, again, that are like within our inner circle, or it's somebody that we genuinely like or care about, respect on some level, we put a lot of stock into their influence. We put a lot of stock into their words. And when they're telling us that we can't, some of us will sit there and think, well, what are they seeing that I'm not? Because there is that line. There are people who genuinely want to see you succeed. They want you to be happy. And there are times where we get so wrapped up in the dream, we get so wrapped up in the goal, that we don't see red flags, we don't see obstacles, or if we do see them, we're not acknowledging them, or we're certainly not giving it the kind of, for the lack of a better term, respect that it deserves. But at the same time, we also know that we see things that nobody else can. And this is where you got to have a come to Jesus moment with yourself. This is where you got to look at yourself in the mirror and you have to have a conversation. How much is this worth to me? How much am I willing to put in to accomplish whatever it is I'm setting out to do? I've been told that I can't do shit my entire life for a number of reasons. When I have conversations like this, or when I have done a public presentation, something along these lines, I use my story as an example. And I realize that a lot of my story takes place within the world of professional wrestling, and not a lot of people can identify with everything that goes into being a part of that world. But there are life lessons that I can take from that part of my story and incorporate into here and now, into quote unquote real life situations. I had a dream. I was going to be a professional wrestler. The problem is I couldn't talk in public. I had beaten myself before I even got, before I even laced my boots up. Because I was told, you can't do this. You can't talk in front of a live crowd. You can't talk right in general. So what the hell makes you think that you're going to be able to make a transition on a very public stage, for the lack of a better term? It used to piss me off. And I mean piss me off to no end. Who are you to tell me that I can't do something? Who are you to tell me that what I want is unobtainable? You have no shitting idea what goes on in my head. Who are you to tell me that I can't? So instead of allowing that to dictate my mood, allowing that to dictate my progress, allowing that to dictate how much of myself I'm going to put into this to make this a reality, it inspired me. It motivated me. It lit a fire under my ass that I was going to find a way. I didn't know how. I had to learn. And a lot of it I had to learn on my own, because there isn't a whole lot of resources to tackle the kind of issues that were derailing my momentum. I had to teach myself with the help of whatever limited resources there were out there. But the word won't was never in my vocabulary. Because I just got done saying can't means you won't or you don't know how. Won't wasn't an option. I didn't even entertain that. I had to literally teach myself, reteach myself how to communicate. And I did. And I was able to embark and achieve so many goals. I was able to achieve a dream of being a professional wrestler. Did I headline WrestleMania? No. Was I a jobber under the WWE banner? No. I had to reshift. I had to remold my goals. I had to look at what reality was giving me and what can I do to bypass that. And I did. And I look back after the fact and I'm like, I actually got more fulfillment out of the path that I did take, that I did forge for myself, probably more than what I would have gotten under the employ of World Wrestling Entertainment. Because I was able to do things in my world that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to do in somebody else's world or vision. But under no circumstances do I ever look back on my wrestling career with any degree of regret. I did what I was meant to do. And I had a lot of fun doing it, by and large. Now with this, everything that I had to reteach myself to get acclimated and be prepared for the world of professional wrestling led me to my true calling, which is this, which is podcasting, video presentations. Not because I think I'm some George Clooney, and not because I think I have this powerful voice, but I do know that what I'm doing makes a difference on some level with some people. And that makes it all worth it, man. I don't approach things with, I can't do that. I approach it with, I'm going to keep throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. And the stuff that sticks, that's what we're going to focus on. And again, if I run into a roadblock, if I run into an obstacle, if people are trying to derail me, I take all of that in very real time, process it, break it down, and utilize that as tackling fuel, for the lack of a better term. So I don't believe in can't. Can't doesn't register with me unless every single option, every single available tool has been exhausted. And when it comes to that point and things still aren't progressing forward for me, well then at least I know without a shadow of doubt I gave everything that I had. I just had to, again, reshift my focus, reevaluate and reform what my goals and dreams are. How can I achieve what I want in a less than conventional way? The unbeaten path, as it were. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. But the things that haven't worked, at bare minimum, have been a life lesson. something that I can incorporate into the here and now, something that I can utilize moving forward as of, okay, this didn't work. That approach did not work. Life is very much learning on the fly, on the job training, as it were. Because while life is programmed to kind of more or less force us to conduct ourselves in the way it wants us to, I absolutely refuse to do that. I mean, I am nobody's puppet, life included. And this will spark bouts of resistance. This will result in people talking shit. This will result in you questioning yourself based on what other people have done, said, or the kind of control that they're trying to maintain within your life. That's because those individuals truly don't want to see you succeed. They truly don't want you to be the version of happy that you want for yourself, that you deserve. I don't give a flying fuck if it's somebody that you've known for 30 years or somebody that you met last week. If they're not on your team, if they're not on the same page as you, they are going to be a source of resistance. They are going to be a roadblock. They are going to be one of the things that try to derail your momentum. Why? Oftentimes, it's because you are reminding them of what they are not. And people hate to see other people succeed. Even though they'll tell you until they're blue in the face, oh, I support you, I've got you, anything you need. Fuck you. Actions speak louder than words in instances like this. What it comes down to, folks, is how bad do you want it? How much of your goal are you willing to put yourself into in order to achieve that? I really don't know why. No, that's not true. I do know why. I do know why we allow ourselves to be beaten based on other people's words and actions that have presented themselves in something of contention. I do understand why. But here's the thing about me. I do not give a fuck about what other people think, about what other people say. Because I am of the mentality that if I truly meant something to them, they would be supporting my path to my goals, to my dreams, to my happiness. And if they don't subscribe to that, they don't get a seat at the proverbial table. Not because of anything that I've done, it's because of how they've presented themselves in my life. I'm not saying sever ties. I'm not saying turn your back and walk away. Don't ever correspond with them again. What I would say is you need to reevaluate their position in your life. Because the minute you start making headway that they see as something that is taking their attention away from them, that's when they're going to throw out that word. You can't do this. You can't do that. Now, again, if it comes from a genuine place, have a conversation. Why do you think I can't do this? Why do you think I can't do that? What is it that you're seeing that maybe I'm not? If it registers, great. You avoided a potential problem. But you know what happens when you have that conversation? This is where people's true intentions, in some cases, accidentally leak out. they tell on themselves. And if you're paying attention, and if you're really listening to what they're saying and how they're saying it, you're going to find out real quick, whether these people are truly on your side or whether they're not. And if they're not, you pick them up from the table and put them over on the side. I'll get to you when I've got time. That's how you've presented yourself. And that's how I'm going to reprioritize what the fuck I'm doing. It's real easy to sit there and get sucked into the negativity vortex of can't. But if you're willing to put in the work, if you are willing to put in the sacrifice, if you're willing to use can't as a motivator instead of a deterrent, I'm here to tell you from personal experience, you will start to see progress. You will start to see items on that proverbial list getting checked off. And if that's not enough to motivate you to keep moving forward, nothing ever will be. And you're really just wasting time and pissing in the wind because you don't have that right mentality. You don't have the right mindset. When you use can't as a crutch in the face of adversity, that tells me right out of the gate how much commitment, how much effort you're willing to put into whatever it is that you're working on. And if it's not something worth fighting for, then what is the point of doing it? Are you doing it to appease other people? Again, wrong mindset. You've already beaten yourself. But man, if it's something that means something to you, that you feel it to the absolute depths of your soul, this is the path you're supposed to be on. This is what you're supposed to do in order to find your ultimate level of happiness. Then what the fuck does it matter what everybody else thinks? Let them sit on the sidelines and watch you rise. Let them sit amongst their little circle of negativity and let them talk shit as you continue to kick life's ass. They don't have that ambition. They don't have that work ethic. They don't have that inspiration, the motivation. And they sure as fuck don't have the spirit. Not like you do. So essentially what they're doing is they're setting the table for where they're going to be in your life moving forward. And unfortunately, sometimes those paths just go opposite ways, man. Not maliciously, that's just how life happens. Your goals no longer line up. Your visions don't line up. Instead of being consistent, they teeter back and forth. And every once in a while, they'll land, and you'll have a moment, but as soon as you start to embark on your goal again, it goes back to teetering. It's what happens. It's what happens. A lot of people don't like to admit it, but it is what happens. So think about that. There is no can't. Can't is you won't or you don't know how. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit this week. Use that as the anchor of this episode. I do want to take the next couple of moments and let folks in on some new capabilities in terms of corresponding with our shows here on the PFC Entertainment Network. If you've listened to the Sports Reel podcast with Tim Sheridan that we generally live stream Wednesday nights for a Thursday morning drop on the RSS feed. You know that we have upgraded our capabilities here at the network, and with that, one of the exciting features that we're going to have here is live call-ins during live streams. And a lot of that capability is going to be centered on the Sports Reel podcast, on the hot tag. But I am going to do from time to time special live streams of the flagship show, in which case I will take a topic. I will start to expand on it, talk about it, break it down, what have you. But during live stream events, you, the audience, will have the opportunity to join the show in progress. What happens, or what's going to happen, is with every live stream, when you watch it through the PFC Network Facebook page, when you look at the comments or the live chat, there will be a link that will take you into the portal, as it were, and it gives you the opportunity to join the show live as it happens, to join the conversation. You have to hit a couple buttons, put in some information. I get the notification that you are in the virtual waiting room, and then I hit a button on my end, and you come on to the screen, you come on to the show. We're going to start incorporating that more often. And because that's one thing that I have heard over the years is like, man, I wish there was a way to, be a part of the show, or so I can throw my 2 cents in and this, that, and the other thing. Well, now here's your opportunity. You are going to have that opportunity. So what I would suggest is, make sure you hit the follow button on the PFC Entertainment Network or the Clouse to the Heart Facebook pages. So as soon as I go live, you'll get a notification that it's happening. Because there are some things that I will schedule ahead of time, and there are other times where I'm very impromptu. Could be 2 a.m, and I'll have this idea. I'll be like, you know what? The masses need to hear this. But it's going to be a cool feature, and I certainly hope that you guys are enjoying what I'm doing here on the flagship show. And by the numbers that download this show every week, obviously I'm resonating with some of you. And for those who want to be a part of that conversation, you now have that opportunity. So again, hit the follow button, hit the like button on the PFC Network or Clouse to the Heart Facebook pages. And if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, maybe hit the share button. Let your friends and family and their friends and family know what we're doing here. We're trying to look at the silver lining in life here. It doesn't always have to be doom and gloom and all bad news and constant source of negativity. There's a lot of good in this world. Sometimes it's just overshadowed by that cloud of fuckery that we call negativity. But we're trying here. We're trying to inspire people. We're trying to motivate people. We're trying to make you see, yeah, it may suck in this moment right now, but this isn't the way it has to be for the long haul. So with that, we're going to go ahead and put a bow on this week's episode. If you haven't done so already, go check out the online store, pfcstore.printify.me. And for a very limited time left, you can go to pfcspring.printify.me. That's your one-stop shop for all the new baseball jerseys and hats and all the spring-inspired merchandise featuring the designs and logos of all the great shows here on the PFC Network. And you can always check us out at pfcnetwork.net, the official website of the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network. With that, I certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. Go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next week right here on the Clouse to the Heart podcast, the flagship show of the PFC Entertainment Network.